My name is Lillian Riddle. I'm 27 years old, and until that afternoon, I still believed that no matter how messy things got, my family would never cross a certain line. But the moment I walked through the front door, I learned that line never existed for them, not when it came to me. I don't even remember dropping my keys. All I remember is the silence, thick, unnatural. My dog, Jasper, always came barreling toward me the moment I stepped inside. His nails on the hardwood were the sound I associated with home. But that day, nothing. No bark, no frantic pause, no soft whining from the living room. Just stillness. Jasper? I called once, and my voice cracked in the middle. I tried again, louder this time. Nothing answered me, not even the sound of his collar jingling. A cold feeling crept up my throat as I pressed my hand to the counter to steady myself. Then I walked into the kitchen and found my mother standing there, calmly loading the dishwasher like it was just another Tuesday. "Mom, where's Jasper?" I asked. She didn't even look up. "We sold him," she said flatly. "Your sister's kids needed new phones. You'll be fine." I didn't even breathe. For a full second, my ears rang. I thought, hoped, I misheard her. I asked again, slower this time, forcing the words through a tightening jaw. She repeated it casually, like she was telling me where she put the mail. Like my dog, my best friend, wasn't alive, wasn't someone I loved, just an item. Exchanged for phones my nieces would crack in 3 weeks. My vision blurred for a moment. A sharp, burning pressure filled my chest. "Mom, you sold my dog?" "Stop being dramatic, Lillian. He was expensive, and the girls needed new phones." Something inside me twisted so violently that I actually had to grip the table to stop my hands from shaking. I turned and walked out, because if I didn't, I was afraid of what I might say, or do. My dad was in the garage, fiddling with his toolbox. He glanced up when I came in. "Dad, where's Jasper?" He shrugged. "Your mom figured you'd get over it. The kids wanted those phones." I felt something in me snap. Not loudly, not like a bone breaking, more like a rope, frayed for years, finally giving out. I barely made it to my bedroom without slamming every door in the hallway. Jasper's crate sat empty. His leash hung from the doorknob. His toys had been tossed into a corner like junk someone forgot to throw out. That's when the truth hit me. Not just anger, but clarity. This wasn't impulsive. This wasn't a heat-of-the-moment mistake. They planned it. They discussed it. And they decided that something I loved, something alive, was worth less to them than the convenience of not buying their own kids new phones. They assumed I'd swallow it like I swallowed everything else. Smile, move on, don't make a fuss. But this time, they picked the wrong thing. I didn't go downstairs for dinner. I didn't speak. I just lay on my bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the hum of the house that suddenly felt like a stranger's home. Somewhere between midnight and the early hours of morning, something inside me shifted. I wasn't going to let them get away with this. Not again. Not ever. I opened my laptop and started digging. Craigslist, local rescue groups, Facebook pet rehoming pages. Jasper was 6 months old, an Australian shepherd, purebred, blue and brown eyes, a perfect white stripe down his nose. They wouldn't have taken him far. He was too valuable. I scrolled for hours, messaging strangers, writing down addresses, cross-checking listings. At noon the next day, I found him, listed under a new name. But those eyes, I would have known them in a crowd of thousands. The family said they didn't have time for him anymore. They agreed to meet me at a park if I brought cash. I didn't hesitate. I withdrew money from my savings, drove across town, and when I saw him in the back seat of their car, his ears shot up, tail thumping wildly, my heart cracked open. He remembered me, before I even said his name. I brought him home without warning anyone. When I opened the door, my mom froze. Her spatula slipped from her hand, clattering to the floor. She stared at Jasper, then at me, like I'd dragged a ghost back into the house. "You bought him back," she whispered. "No," I said quietly. "I bought back what you sold." Then I walked upstairs and locked my door while Jasper curled protectively against me. That night they screamed, pounded on my walls, called me dramatic, said I ruined Christmas. I didn't answer. I just held Jasper tighter and stared into the dark, feeling a calm that scared even me. Because I finally understood. If they could sell my dog for phones, they were capable of anything. And I was done being their target. The next morning, I walked downstairs for coffee. Silence. My mom flipped pancakes with forced cheer. My dad pretended to watch TV. No apology, no discussion. They were acting like nothing happened. But when I returned to my room, my phone kept flashing the same message. "No Wi-Fi. Cannot connect. I checked the router. Still blinking. Just locked. Then I saw it. My number had been removed from the family phone plan. No warning. A punishment. Their way of showing control. I stared at the no service message at the top of my screen, and for the first time in years, I felt steady, cold, determined. They thought this would break me, but they forgot something. Something they should have never overlooked. The joint bank account they used to pay all the bills? It was in my name, and I was done being in their silent wallet. The moment I saw no service on my phone, something inside me finally quieted. Not the peaceful kind of quiet, the kind that comes before a wildfire. My parents thought I'd come downstairs crying, apologizing, begging for the Wi-Fi password back. They thought shutting me out digitally would remind me that they still controlled everything. But they forgot the one thing they never should have forgotten. The account they used to pay every bill, the electricity, the groceries, the gas for both their cars, was in my name. Not theirs. Months ago, my mother had convinced me to make it a joint account. "It's easier, sweetheart," she'd said. "No need to bother you every time we need to transfer money for the house." I believed her, because I always did. But as I stared at that no service message, the memories sharpened. $40 here, $60 there, then hundreds in Amazon charges. Subscriptions I never signed up for. Gas station charges for a car I never drove. Restaurant bills in towns I'd never stepped foot in. And I remembered the one time I asked about a strange charge. "It's for the house, Lillian. Don't make a big deal out of it." They weren't borrowing. They weren't sharing. They were feeding on me. And now they'd cut me off like I was the leech. The calm inside me snapped into clarity. I opened my laptop, logged into the joint account, and pulled every dollar into a brand new account I set up in minutes. Then I removed her access entirely. When I called the bank to flag all unauthorized transactions, the representative said I had a strong chance of getting many of them reversed. Hearing that felt like oxygen after years of barely breathing. I leaned back, staring at my laptop screen lit by late afternoon light. Jasper lay curled on my pillow, breathing softly, his paws twitching in a dream. And I thought, they really believed they could take him from me, and I'd just accept it. Not this time. I stood up, grabbed a duffel bag, and started packing. I didn't leave a note. I didn't slam a door. I didn't look back. I simply walked out of that house and drove straight to Tessa's place, a coworker I wasn't even close to. But she'd always been kind. A few times after I vented about my family, she said, "If you ever need a place, even for a night, my door's open." I used to laugh it off. But that night, I knocked on her door with Jasper at my feet and my life in a single bag. Tessa didn't ask a thing. She just said, "Guest room will be ready in the morning. For now, the couch is yours." I sat on the floor with Jasper leaning against my legs. The room felt warm and unfamiliar, a safe kind of unfamiliar. Around 11 p.m., my phone lit up. I'd installed a prepaid SIM, but Tessa's Wi-Fi let the messages come through. "Mom, where are you? Answer me now." "Dad, Lillian, be serious. Come home." My older sister, "You're doing all this over a dog?" Mom again, "We're worried. Please just come back." Not one apology, not one acknowledgement of what they did. Only inconvenience. Only control slipping through their fingers. I blocked the notifications and opened a private rental listing site. If I was going to rebuild, it wasn't going to be anywhere near them. The next morning, an alert appeared. Multiple failed login attempts on your old bank account. Followed by a text from my mother. "What did you do? Call me now." Then, "This is ridiculous, Lillian. Stop acting like a child." I shut my phone off. By day 3, they were unraveling. I could almost imagine the panic in the kitchen. My mother pacing, my father red-faced, my sister pretending she never got involved. The messages got nastier, more frantic, more entitled. My father, "You don't run from family. This isn't how adults handle problems." My sister, "You stole money from us. You emptied the account. That's messed up." I laughed, audibly. Stole. The account was mine. They had drained it for a year, like it was their personal wallet. I took screenshots, bank records, text messages, everything. I didn't trust them not to twist the story later. Then the calls began, from extended family. Aunt Pam, the gossip courier of the family. "I heard there's drama. Maybe we should all sit down together?" I asked, "Do you know they sold Jasper?" She sighed. "Well, they thought it would help the grandkids." And that told me exactly where she stood. Click. Then I made another call to someone they never expected. Aunt Betty, my mother's older sister, quiet at family gatherings, sharp when she speaks. A woman who remembers every slight and fears no one, especially not my parents. She picked up on the second ring. Betty, it's Lillian. I told her everything, every ugly detail. I didn't soften a single word. She listened in silence, then said just two things. Pack your things. Come stay with me. I'll handle the rest. Something in her tone made a shiver run down my spine, but for once, it wasn't fear. That night, I hugged Tessa, thanked her 100 times, loaded Jasper into the back seat, and drove toward the one place my parents would never dare follow. Betty's house sat behind a wall of old trees, quiet and sharp, like her. Jasper ran inside like he knew he was safe. The guest room was already waiting. Bed made, towels folded, a clean water bowl for Jasper. Betty didn't ask if I was okay. She didn't need to. Instead, later that night, she made a single phone call from the kitchen. Her voice was low, razor sharp. We need to talk, in person. And don't bring your excuses. I'm not Lillian. I couldn't hear the other side, but I knew she was talking to my parents. Betty was the nuclear option. And now? They were about to find out what that meant. Betty didn't say anything the next morning. She didn't have to. There was a heaviness in the air, the kind that settles before a storm breaks open. She handed me a cup of tea, her eyes focused somewhere beyond the window. Don't plan anything after lunch, she said simply. That was all. I nodded. I didn't ask questions. Questions felt unnecessary. Betty only spoke when she'd already made a decision. Oh, while Jasper slept on my lap, I spent the morning scrolling through rental listings far outside my hometown. The longer I stayed with Betty, the more I realized something I'd never allowed myself to see plainly. Family shouldn't make you feel afraid. Family shouldn't make you feel small. Family shouldn't make you feel owned. At 1 p.m. sharp, Betty slipped on her coat, grabbed a thick folder, and said, "Keep your phone close." Then she left. She was gone for over an hour, maybe more. Long enough for my stomach to twist with possibilities. Long enough for me to keep glancing out the window, even though I knew she wasn't coming back with company. When she finally returned, she set her keys on the table with a calmness that felt deliberate. My phone immediately buzzed, then again, then nonstop. Mom, you didn't need to bring Betty into this. My sister, wow, real mature, Lillian. Dad, answer your phone, we need to talk. I didn't respond, instead I looked at Betty. She lifted her cup to her lips. They're embarrassed. Good. My pulse quickened. What did you do? She smirked, a small, sharp smile that carried decades behind it. I reminded them what happens when they cross someone who remembers everything. Later, I would learn the full story. Betty had walked into my parents' home without knocking. She laid everything out on their kitchen table, one documented piece at a time. The dog they sold, the money they drained, the Wi-Fi and phone they cut off, the manipulation, the entitlement, the way they treated me like a servant rather than a daughter. When my mother opened her mouth to defend herself, Betty shut her down with a single sentence. Don't bother lying. I'm not Lillian. She also mentioned something I didn't even know she knew. My dad's unpermitted work on the garage last year, a project he absolutely did not want authorities involved in. That was the moment the house went silent. But of course, their takeaway wasn't, we hurt our daughter. No, it was, Lillian turned someone against us. That night, another alert lit up my phone. Failed login attempts on your new bank account, followed by a Venmo request from my dad. $200 for the expenses you owe us. I stared at it for a moment, then laughed. A long, breathless laugh that felt like something finally loosening inside my chest. They sold my dog, stole my money, cut me off, manipulated me, tracked me, punished me. And they still wanted me to pay them? I declined the request and blocked him. Just like that. The next morning, I toured an apartment 40 minutes away. Nothing impressive. Stained walls, a noisy refrigerator, a flickering kitchen light. But it allowed dogs, and more importantly, it was mine. I signed the lease. When I told Betty, she nodded with approval. Good. Make sure they never get your new address. The move-in day felt surreal. I carried my single duffel bag up the stairs, Jasper trotting beside me, his tail in a steady wag. My phone vibrated over and over, 19 missed calls. Mom, you don't have to live like this. Come home. Dad, you should have talked to us first. My sister, we don't deserve this. You're acting crazy. Crazy, because I finally left. I blocked them all. Jasper settled onto the borrowed mattress with a sigh so soft it almost made me cry. The apartment wasn't beautiful, but I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. A few days later, Betty called. Your parents came by, she said. Brought a pie, pretended to care. I closed my eyes. Of course they did. They said they were ready to forgive you. I let out a bitter laugh. Forgive me? Betty exhaled through her nose, the equivalent of a snort for her. I told them you don't need their forgiveness. And if they loved you even half as much as they loved controlling you, none of this would have happened. I pressed a hand to my chest. Thank you. They won't bother you anymore, Betty said. Then, softer. Live your life, Lillian, not theirs. A week passed. Then an envelope appeared at my door. No return address, but I knew the handwriting instantly. My mother's. The letter inside was dramatic, tear-stained, full of lines like, "You'll understand when you have children. We made mistakes, but you're overreacting. Come home and we'll forget all of this." Not one apology, not one acknowledgement of what they took from me, not one moment of accountability. Just a plea to return to the role I'd been groomed to play. I folded the letter, slid it back into the envelope, and put it in a drawer, not because I wanted to keep it, but because I wanted to remember. Remember what I escaped. Remember what I survived. That night, Jasper curled up on my chest, his warm breath against my neck, and I ran my fingers along the soft fur behind his ear. "They thought they could take you from me," I whispered, "but they didn't know who I'd become because of it." In the stillness of that tiny apartment, lit only by a flickering hallway light, I realized something that would shape the rest of my life. When I stopped letting them use me, they stopped loving me, and that meant they never loved me at all. Not the real me, not the me who finally stood up, not the me who refused to break. I wasn't going back. Not ever. This time, the life I was building was mine.